stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Miller. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. I'm going to start out this show by saying thank you to Tracom from Twitter for putting this show on the Twitter compilation Travel Communications, which serves people in Japan. And as I don't know what time of day people in Japan might be listening to this program, let me just say, domo arigatou gozaimasu. I am very appreciative of the time that you give this show, as I am of the time that everyone gives this show. And thank you, Sue from New Mexico, for bringing this to my attention. I appreciate it very much. Now, let's get into it. I'm going to talk about Islam, but I'm going to do it in a way that's a little bit different, because that's how I do things. I'm going to try and put this in progressive terms. I'm going to approach it from the view of what I believe a progressive might see and might experience if Islam becomes the dominant religion in the world and if the worldwide caliphate takes hold. Now remember what I tell you, people. I'm a conservative because I'm a liberal. You can't have charity if you don't have a good system to underpin that. And that system is capitalism with a free market backed up by a republic where everyone gets their say. Now the first thing I'm going to do is play a promo for a demonstration that's going to be held on February the 1st in a place called Slough in the UK by the English Defence League.
EDL News. On the 1st of February, the English Defence League will be holding a peaceful protest in Slough to draw attention to the Council's decision to approve the building of a new Islamic centre in the area. The centre will be funded by a Muslim group who openly supported the murder of a Pakistani politician who was opposed to the country's blasphemy laws, a law where anyone who criticizes Islam could face execution, which is common in many Muslim-majority countries. Even though local residents were opposed to the building of an Islamic centre funded by this group and drew up a petition against it, the project was still given the go-ahead by the local council. A resident who did not wish to give her name for fear of being attacked said, "This is not just a local issue. All across the country, the British public's concerns are being ignored by local councils and MPs as more and more of these unregulated Islamic centres are being built against local residents' wishes." A spokesman for the English Defence League said that while mosques and Islamic centres all across the country continue to be unregulated by our government, there is always a risk that the teaching of verses from the Quran that call for the murder of non-Muslims, verses that the killers of Lee Rigby quoted after he was hacked to death on a London street, could be used to radicalize more and more Muslims and turn them into terrorists. The English Defence League will once again be holding a peaceful protest to draw the public's attention to these problems, just as we have held protests in the past against the epidemic of Muslim paedophile gangs and attacks on British troops. He also stated that contrary to what the mainstream media would have the British public believe, the English Defence League is not about race, and it is proud to have black, Asian, Jewish, gay and all kinds of members. And if people visit our website, our Facebook pages or watch our videos on YouTube, they will see this is true. The English Defence League exists because our politicians are unwilling to deal with these problems, so it has been left to people like us, ordinary men and women from all different backgrounds, to highlight these problems in the hope that something will be done. He also added that if anyone is concerned about Muslim terrorism, unregulated mosques, paedophile gangs, or any of the issues that our politicians seem unable to deal with, then you are welcome to come and join us in Slough on February the 1st, no matter who you are or where you come from.
The English Defense League, as well as other citizens of Western countries, are very concerned with the slow progression of Islam into our politics and into our schools and into our children's minds. All you have to do is listen to the EDL's promo to find out about some of the excesses of Islam. But those are only a few. We know about their treatment of women. We know about their treatment of gays. We also know about their intolerance of people who do not share their faith, regardless of what they say. If you look in the Middle East, you'll see the reality. Oh, but that's in the Middle East, you say. That's not in the United States of America. Well, as I think you've just heard, it's made its way to the West. Now, progressives out there, if you don't believe in the worldwide caliphate, just look at the Quran. They state in the Quran that that is what they are after. And they're going to get it in several ways. One way they're going to get it is through manipulating the minds of our children. And this is going to be done with the full cooperation of leftist governments and through things like Common Core, using diversity as an excuse. Now, I know you guys on the progressive side love you some diversity, and big surprise, so do I. Diversity of thought, diversity of culture, all of those things make us stronger. On the other hand, there's a difference between diversity of culture and allowing one culture to aggressively dominate all other cultures. But this is happening. Now, I'm going to read a bit of a story with the headline, English School Threatened to Label Kids Racist for Years Unless They Attended a Field Trip on November the 27th of last year to teach them about Islam. Now, this was in the UK papers, but I'm going to read a bit from a Daily Caller article. The headmistress at a primary school in a small town in England tried to order parents to send their children to a November 27 workshop focused on Islam, or else have the kids permanently labeled as racists for the rest of their academic careers. On Wednesday, parents of children aged 8 to 11 received the stark warning in the form of a letter from Lynn Small, the headmistress at Littleton Green Community School in Huntington, Staffordshire, just over 20 miles from Birmingham. The letter describes the field trip as part of a statutory requirement for kids to learn about different cultures. Now, you're going to see this theme repeated, folks. All right, to continue. The workshop is at Staffordshire University and will give your child the opportunity to explore other religions. Now, I find that a rather interesting sentence myself, because I'm wondering what exactly Ms. Small means by other religions. Other religions, then what? I wonder. But I'll continue. Small pedantically explains children will be looking at religious artifacts similar to those that would be on display in a museum. They will not be partaking in any religious practices. Small then lays down the hammer for any parents who might be reticent about exposing their own kids to other religions. This is from the letter. Refusal to allow your child to attend this trip will result in a racial discrimination note being attached to your child's education record, which will remain on this file throughout their career. Now, that means that those kids, 8 to 11, would basically be labeled racists by their schools, and that would stay with them until they got out of school. This being done through the auspices of the government of the United Kingdom. Now, I'm going to post this article, as I post all source material for this show on UBG Contact on the Twitter, and you can read it there. You can read the rest of this article, and you can read the other articles that I will cite in this show today. Now, if you're progressive, about now you're probably thinking that I'm paranoid, xenophobic, and racist for bringing any of this stuff up. And I'm getting my information from right-wing nutjob websites. All right, well, let me just address these. I don't think it's very paranoid when one looks at what's going on in the Middle East, at how people other than Islamic people are treated in Islamic countries. Those of other religions usually have to pay protection or suffer a lot of indignities, beatings, rapes, sometimes murders, because they don't happen to be down with Islam. Xenophobia, pull the other one. I'm an American. We're made up of people of all nations. It doesn't matter to me who comes to this country legally and wants to be an American as long as they want to be an American and become part of our culture. As long as they want to be Americans first, I could care less where they come from. Racist? Let's put this to bed now. Islam is not a race. You guys on the left use this racist canard every time something comes out that you disagree with, because that shuts most people down. Don't try it on me. I'm the guy that had a bigot slam him in the face with his fist and call me a blind mother. You can guess the rest. I know what hate is, sports fans. Don't try it on me. And as far as nutjob right-wing websites go, I'm going to continue this program about the infiltration of Islam by reading you an article from a real way-out right-wing nutjob crazy site called The Huffington Post. Headline: Toronto School Defends Muslim Prayers in Cafeteria, by Ron Sillag, Huffington News Service. Toronto RNS. A majority Muslim public school in Toronto, whatever that is, majority Muslim public school, is defending its policy of allowing an imam to lead Friday prayers in the cafeteria, saying students who leave school for prayers at a mosque typically don't return to school. For the past 3 years, some 300 Muslim students at Valley Park Middle School have been allowed to use the school cafeteria for Friday prayers. Before the policy change, school officials say students would leave classes early and not return. I think it's important to note the prayer isn't conducted under the auspices of the board. Jim Fyropoulos, a superintendent for inclusive schools with the Toronto District School Board, told the Globe and Mail newspaper. This was the best solution that avoided compromising instructional time. The issue is about religious accommodation. Sherry Schwartz-Maltz, a school district spokeswoman, told the Canadian Press. Those explanations have not placated angry parents who are lighting up radio call-in shows and blogging furiously about alleged favoritism towards Islam. Christian and other prayers are disallowed in the public school system. In an unlikely alliance, Canadian Hindu Advocacy, the Jewish Defense League, and the Muslim Canadian Congress have voiced strong opposition to the arrangement. Islamic groups are imposing their view to spread their ideology, Ron Banerjee, director of Canadian Hindu Advocacy, told the Globe and Mail. The Muslim Canadian Congress has asked for the services to be halted or closely monitored to avert the spread of radicalism. The board noted that there have been no complaints about the arrangement until it was highlighted recently by a right-wing blogger. Now let me translate that for everyone. What they're saying is there wasn't a problem with this until people found out about it. Well, gee, I wonder why. What we're basically talking about here is prayer being allowed in schools. Now, those of you who live in the United States of America know this is a very big deal. There are a lot of people who don't want religion anywhere close to public schools. And yet, at Valley Park Middle School, it's happening every Friday, baby. You know, I've got a friend named Paul, kind of non-political, and I told him about the things going on in the UK, and, you know, he yelled at me, "Well, who cares? It's England." Well, it's getting closer, bro. Getting closer to the United States of America. It's across the pond, my friends, and it's closer than you think. According to an article posted on January the 22nd at freedomoutpost.com, the White House has been petitioned to have Islamic holidays recognized in public schools. That's American public schools. And it doesn't stop there. Because you might be saying, well, That's just a proposal. That doesn't really mean anything. People are just asking for that. That doesn't mean stuff is happening here in the United States of America. Oh, really? Well, try this. Headline: District ends field trips to Nashville Mosque after complaints. Now, this comes from WSMV-TV in Nashville, Tennessee, posted on September the 18th of last year, updated on October the 2nd of last year. Reporter on this is Carly Gordon. Nashville, Tennessee. A certain kind of field trip is now off limits in one Middle Tennessee school district after students and parents complained. Some Hendersonville High School students came to the Islamic Center of Nashville as part of a World Studies class field trip. The students took a tour of the mosque and were offered a copy of the Quran. Now, I'm going to leave the rest of this article for you guys to read at UBG Contact on the Twitter. As you can see, though, they used the same excuses near Nashville that they did near Birmingham. World studies, learning about other cultures. All of this couched in a pretty package to hide the attempt to propagandize children about Islam. And I can guarantee that you won't hear anything on these field trips about the worldwide caliphate, about their treatment of women, about their treatment of gays, or about their treatment of people who don't believe in the same way that they do. If you're not careful, your kids will be part of those field trips. This is why these sorts of things have to be monitored very carefully. Now, I'm going to ask where the Western and American agnostics and atheists are on this issue. I mean, atheists are usually the first to scream bloody murder as soon as, for instance, someone prays to Jesus at a football game. Well, what about this? I mean, if atheism is about more than just tweaking Christians, which I do think that there are some true atheists who just don't believe in anything, but I think there are also a lot of other atheists who just love to proselytize with it because it tweaks Christians and that gives them their jollies. Well, come on, step up, guys. You're ready to slam any and all observance of Christianity. How about this? The evidence of how Islam treats those who are not part of it, and even those who are a part of it, is all around, in the Middle East and in other countries, some of which you heard in that EDL promo. But I'm not hearing a whole lot of atheists saying a whole lot about it. Time to nut up, people. And where are the progressive women on this issue? Women in Islam are property. Now, you talk about a war on women here in the United States of America because some people want a free market and some people don't want to kill babies wholesale. What about the enslavement of women under Sharia law? You know, you progressives love to talk about how you're so much more knowledgeable than everyone else. You might want to read up on this stuff, people, because it's real. This isn't just fear-mongering, because I know that's what you're going to say it is, that I'm just trying to make people afraid of brown people or something like that. No, this is real stuff. This is happening. It's happening in the Middle East. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in Canada. And it's beginning to happen here in the United States of America. Now, it's been said by progressives that, well, not all of the Muslims do bad stuff. No, they don't. Not all of them do. But if you are part of the religion of Islam, you support Sharia. You also support the jihad, the holy struggle. And the holy struggle is for the worldwide caliphate. You don't have to throw a bomb to be a supporter. So while not all Muslims are bad, Islam is all bad. Then, let me address this whole leftist Christianity is just as bad argument. Now, to those who say that, I say you may want to check your timepieces and look around you. It's been some considerable time since inquisitions and witch burnings. Learned people will tell me, well, in the 1600s, Christians did this. No, they did. That's part of history. But everyone who lived in the 1600s is dead. People on the left love to concentrate on just today, just what's happening today. And today, the aggressiveness, the violent aggressiveness, is not on the part of Christians, it's on the part of Islamists. I'm telling you this stuff, progressives, because I want you to clue in. You're being told by the news services that validate your way of thinking that you're being inclusive when you buy into the whole Islam is a religion of peace argument. Well, I'm telling you that if a worldwide caliphate does come to a reality, everything that you guys have worked for the past over 100 years will be swept away. The freedoms that you enjoy as individuals, as women, as gays, that'll be gone. And you'll have only yourselves to blame. All right, now let's get to something a little bit more cool. Because, hey, I know progressives love cool, and so do conservatives. I'm talking about my awesome Americans for this show. Now, usually I don't include organizations in Awesome Americans, but this one is worth it. My sister belongs to a motorcycle club that hands out toys to children around Christmas time. And that's one example of how not all people who ride motorcycles are dope-selling, prostitute-running thugs. A lot of people who are in motorcycle clubs do really good work for their communities. And I want to recognize one club called Bikers Against Child Abuse. Now, they're headquartered in Arizona, but they have a nationwide membership.
We're not your average people.
You know these guys mean business.
We're all across the United States.
We're the only organization in the world right now that does what we do.
We're a nonprofit organization that works with children who have been the victims of physical, sexual, or mental abuse. We want to empower these children not to feel afraid of the world in which they live. Once children are empowered, they can start to heal. We work with the child to remove their fear. When their fear is gone, that's when we know our job is done. When we say we'll do anything to protect the children, whatever that means, we mean it. We've got one guy who's 6'10" in our organization. We call him Tree.
Yeah, I stand out quite a bit.
To the kids, he is an absolute protector.
They feel pretty safe when I'm around.
The first introduction for a child to our chapter, we'll take and force the entire chapter. We'll have 25 motorcycles rolling down the road. The neighborhood wakes up real quick.
We pull up, and it's like amazing. The kids are they're shy. They don't know what to think. I see all these crazy biker guys show up, pretty scary looking, ugly people.
But after a few minutes, they really start to open up to us, and we develop that initial friendship.
I am Tree.
Hi, Tree.
How are you?
We give them a road name. They've got a patch on the back of the vest. You're part of our family now, and that means we'll always be here for you. Okay, whenever you need us, if you're afraid, you call us. Okay. And then we assign 2 members to those children that will follow up on a weekly basis.
Now you got a bunch of brothers.
Yeah.
Some of us are prettier than others.
In court, we had one of our kids, the judge asked, are you afraid? And she looked up at the judge and said, no. And the judge said, why not? She goes, because my friends are scarier than he is. A BACA child is 4 times more likely to testify in court than a child who's not part of our organization.
It is personal for me because I've been through abuse, in and out of foster homes, in and out of the system. Nobody believed me. Nobody seemed to care. It's a hell that I wouldn't wish upon anybody.
Here in Arizona, the child deaths directly related to child abuse went up 20% in the last year. So the problem isn't getting any better.
We need to wake up. The system needs to change, let's put it that way. To be able to stand up, for a child and say, no, nobody's going to hurt you anymore. And you can stand up and be proud of who you are. You're not at fault.
We're not playing wild hogs here. And if someone who would hurt a child doesn't take us seriously, well, that would be a big mistake.
Bikers love to ride their motorcycles because they love the freedom of the road. And these bikers are helping kids break free from child abuse. And that is a great service to their community. I know because I was one of those kids. So I very much appreciate what these folks are doing. And if you can support them, please do. They're my awesome Americans for this time. And that's it for this show. I appreciate everyone who listens. Thank you, and may your God go with you. Goodbye.